Hi everyone, it's Jen from Vine Styles. I hope you're doing well and that you're staying safe. Today we're going to be celebrating the end of dry January with another feature. The Dal Cero Vermentino Chardonnay from the Tenuta Montecchiesi estate down in Cortona, Tuscany, Italy. And if you want to follow along, we're going to try to do something a little different this time and start with the tasting. And then after, we'll talk about the wine. So let's just jump into it. Let's taste the wine. Probably go for a medium lemon in color. While it's pale in color, the color does reach the rim. Also, another thing that I'm noticing right away is that it seems to be a little bit oilier as well. Ooh. Oh, food wine, yes! It's not super pronounced. It has about a medium intensity. It's a little bit more subtle in the glass, but it's not hiding quite. So it's here. It's just kind of waiting for you to dig in and it will speak for itself. So it's quite complex. It's really nice. It's something that you could just sit and continue to smell over a course of a night. So it's something that I wouldn't necessarily need with food, but oh my God, I've had it with food and it was so amazing together. This is one of those wines that's actually capable of elevating a meal. So very, very, very cool. Let's start talking about the aromas. So first of all, right off the bat, I get a little bit of a yellow apple note to it. Also noting a little bit more of a lemon peel. There has to be a little bit of a bitterness to it. Yeah, so a little bit more of that bitter lemon peel. I'm also going into a little bit more of a stone fruit note of some peaches, some nectarine as well. There's also notable, almost like a mandarin orange note, kind of going off of that lemon peel citrus fruit family. But it has a little bit more of a sweeter, riper nose to it. Even though I do believe that this isn't a sweet wine, this is a dry wine. And then it just wraps it all up in this beautiful, creamy, almost butter-esque sort of style with a little bit of like a florality, almost like a rosemary or a blossom. It's really, really pretty. And there's a little bit of like a chalkiness at the very, very back too. Yeah, no more dry January. Let's taste now. Oh, it's so good. Oh my God, it's so good. So I'm getting more of that yellow apple, but the first thing that actually hit me was that tangerine. And then it gets a little bit more into some pear as I breathe out. And then it's that creaminess is quite noticeable as well. So nice, but there's still that acidity that keeps that balance to it as well. So it is right, it has a little bit of a savoriness to it. So while it does have a lot of ripe stone and some citrus fruits in there, they tend to balance that butteriness that we would get from the bâtonnet stirring. What would I pair with something like this? Oh my God, I could just drink this on its own. However, like I said, this will elevate your next meal. So the first thing that goes straight into my mind is scallops. Some buttery scallops or some buttery shellfish, some lobster, some crab. Just butter would be amazing with this. What are you doing for Valentine's Day? This would be a great Valentine's Day wine, actually. Also, we could go into some chicken and some white meats as well. I'm looking more at like the grilled chicken or even a roasted chicken in style. This would be great with chicken pot pie. Is that the end of the tasting? I'm so sad. I want to keep tasting. All right, so now a little bit of the Dal Cero history and how everything got started. Starting in 1934, the grandfather of today's owners, Augusto Dal Cero, he actually purchased an unusual piece of land, and it was between two extinct volcanoes, the commune of Rocca. So the commune would require a lot of hard work as it was between the two volcanoes. So it was a very, very steep incline And so this means that there's no mechanization. Everything has to be done by hand. And we're not only talking about hand harvesting, we're talking about caring for the vines. The volcanoes where the vineyards sit are called Crocetta and Calvarina, and they're over 40 million years old. And as centuries have reshaped them, the soil still remains very dark, almost black in color from the ancient lava and the tuff that is there now. So it was actually a very, very smart purchase on a geology side. He knew very little about geology when he made the purchase, but he knew a lot about grapes. And something that you find when you speak to very successful winemakers is that they seem to know their grapes on an individual level. So this is Stan, this is Brand, and they know exactly what Stan needs and what Brand needs, you know? His instincts told him to climb to the top of the volcano and plant the vines at the very, very top. And so they actually dug into the earth of the wooded area at the very top of the volcanoes. And they wanted to benefit in the very mineral-rich soil up there. However, our story is paused because war broke out in 1940, and he was forced to become a soldier, and he spent nearly 5 years in the desert of Africa. It was very hard on him. He actually came back to the winery in very bad shape. However, because of his chutzpah and his passion, he found himself among the vines at the very top of the volcano, working very hard. Basically, he had to start from scratch again. Eventually, Augusto found himself, after a lot of hard work, among his vines at the very top of the volcanoes, just with clouds above. And it just kind of rendered the Dal Cero family and him their very own piece of heaven. And that's where our story starts. Since then, Augusto had 2 sons and then ended up passing away while they were fairly young. Dario and Giuseppe ended up taking over the winery, and they ended up expanding it in the 1980s to a very highly sought after area in Cortona, Tuscany. The vineyard is called Tenuta Montecchiesi, and that's where the wine comes from today. And now we have a 3rd generation of winemakers and owners, David, who manages the production and winemaking of the vineyard. And then we have Nico, who focuses on domestic sales. And then we also have Francesca, who works on export sales. And actually, you might have met Francesca as she's come down for a couple of winemaker dinners. One particularly at Puccinella's. Oh my God, it was so good. They use low intervention practices and sustainable practices while still producing quality-driven wines. A little bit of winemaker notes about the Montecchiesi vineyard and how this wine was made. So the Montecchiesi vineyard is located 270 meters above sea level, so not super high, so it still tends to get a little bit warmer there. They are spur pruned trained, so that just means that they are only having about 2 to 3 buds on the cordons of the vines, and the grapes are going to be hand harvested in about mid-September. They inspect every single grape that goes into this wine to make sure that there's no damage and that it's a healthy grape. The grape clusters are gently pressed with a musk gravity settling, and so that helps with the clarification process. The musk ferments for about 3 weeks in large oak ovals, a minimum of 3 months in steel, with once weekly batonnage of stirring of the fine lees. Batonnage stirring with wines actually help keep the wine fresh and retain its fruit. Depending on how much it does the batonnage stirring, it also can impart some creamy notes as well. And then it also follows a 45-day bottle aging in the bottle that you're drinking it from. So very, very cool. It's the end of the video. I wanted to keep tasting. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you're sipping the wine and that you love it as much as we do. So, all right, well, cheers, guys. It was awesome. I love this, love this, love this.